We're only minutes away from the start of the first round of Global Champions League. And the league is no longer led by the Shanghai Swans. No, Miami Celtics have taken over. And whoever got on my left-hand side? The two managers, Daniel Deusser and Helena Stormanns of Shanghai Swans and Miami Celtics. Daniel, you hold the microphone. I'll ask you the first question. Do Miami Celtics deserve it to lead the ranking?
Yeah, absolutely. So far we had, how many shows we had so far?
This is the 13th, so 12.
This is the 13th, 12. No, it was already a long season so far, and I think it's very important to manage that you have always two good combinations to the show. It is a team sport. Of course, we would love to take the two best horse-rider combinations to the show every time to just try to win. But the team is important. We have to manage that the horses don't jump too much, that the riders can go to every show and also bring good results. At the end, it's a hell lot of work, to be honest. We need good riders, we need good horses, but we need also a good plan. And of course, being in the lead after so many shows, you absolutely deserve it. Otherwise, something would be different.
I just heard Daniel Deusser say that you're a great manager.
I didn't hear that.
He really said it. He said it's all about good management. From your point of view, do you deserve to be in the lead?
I think our riders have done extremely well. They're fantastic at riding for clear rounds. They never put themselves first. They always put the team first. And I think that's what you have to do. When you're a team player, the team always comes first.
What's the difference between Miami Celtics and Shanghai Swans, you think?
Well, the first difference I see is that the Shanghai Swans have two top 10 riders. They're the only team in the whole league with two top 10 riders. Daniel, who is in the form of his life, which is fabulous, and Peter Fredriksson, also in the form of his life. So that's actually the only team with two top 10 riders. And for me, that stands out because Daniel has a lot of horses, Peter Fredriksson has a lot of horses. So they have a deep pool of horses to go at, and we have to maybe box a little clever and try to spread our strength, but so far we're just managing to do it.
It's very difficult to find the difference between those two top teams. Let's have a look. We've pulled out a few statistics, a few numbers. Let's have a look. Let's look at the head-to-head. So, of course, Miami Celtics lead, Shanghai Swans are second. In terms of points, only 3 points separate the number 1 and number 2 team. How many times have you been on the podium? Both of you, both teams, 4 times on the podium. 2 times you won something, or you won a stage. So based on those figures, you're exactly alike. You're just the same team, as consistent and as performant. But if we go a little bit deeper into the figures, and we look at the faults that have been made, there is some separation that we start seeing. 129, the total of faults for the Miami Celtics, a higher tally for the Shanghai Swans. Remarkable, round 1 versus round 2 is a different situation. Miami Celtics are great performers in round 1, but for some reason, Shanghai Swans faults in round 2 are lower than their faults in round 1. Any explanation about that? Because it is a fact, and the difference is quite big. It's 51 faults to 78 in round 1 to round 2 for Miami Celtics. For the Shanghai Swans, it is 71 faults in round 1, 65 in round 2. So the difference is the biggest with the Miami Celtics. Any thought behind that?
There are 2 shows that spring to mind for me that actually added to our second round total. One of them was Stockholm, and the other one was Monte Carlo, Monaco, where we had much higher faults in the second round. But that was just a bad day.
For you, Daniel, and for the Shanghai Swans, have you got any thought behind that figure? With you, it's very even. 71 to 71 to 65. That's only 6 faults the difference. That's very well balanced.
Yeah, that's a very difficult question. I don't think you can really see an explanation. You also have to be a little bit lucky for that. Like Helena said, the riders really try to ride their best horses in the team competitions and try to ride clear. You can always have a problem, especially after so many rounds jumping. The faults add up together. That's normal, I think. To be honest, for myself, it's really nice to see how close the teams are together, even after so many rounds jumping, after different combinations jumping, different horses jumping. That shows actually how close the sport is.
7 double clears. That means that a double clear is 2 riders going clear in the same round. Both Miami Celtics and Shanghai Swans, 7 double clears. Shanghai Swans, 1 clean sheet, so 4 clean rounds on one stage. Not the case for the Miami Celtics. But if you turn the page, and this is tremendous, a completely different approach. And Daniel started with the management concept being different, or being very influential, being very important. The changes. Miami Celtics made only 5 changes to their team over the entire season, so that's a change between round 1 and round 2. The Shanghai Swans made 10, but if you look at how those 10 are being spread, that's also a big difference. Miami Celtics made 5 rider changes, so they brought in a different rider for round 2 than was active in round 1. You only did it 2 times for the Shanghai Swans, but the Swans made 8 horse changes, and you didn't make any horse changes.
Well, I think we work on pairs. So a rider with a strong partnership with his horse, I like to back that partnership. So we have strong partnerships. We have Shane Breen with Ipswich. It's a very strong partnership. Shane doesn't really have another horse at the moment of that caliber, so of course I back that partnership.
When it's in, you keep it in.
Absolutely.
From your point of view, Daniel, if you look at those numbers, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I can only talk about myself or about Peter Fredriksson. We have in the moment 2 Grand Prix horses also. We had the possibility to ride maybe 1 Grand Prix horse the first day, the second Grand Prix horse the second day, and swap horses in between. Not every rider has the possibilities to do that, and that maybe explains a little bit the numbers here.
The fact that you have so many horses, Helena also said it, that your depth, your width is much bigger. Does that make you, on the long term, the favorite for this season still, though you're second?
That's a difficult question. Of course, I have probably more chances than somebody who has only 1 Grand Prix horse. But like you said, it is important at the end of the season to still have the 2 horses jumping,
yep.
To not do too many shows in a row, not too many classes on one show. I tried to change that a little bit. So far it went well, and I hope I can continue like that for the next couple of weeks.
All right, something else. This is the 13th stage of the season. We've got 18 stages in total. We finish up in New York before we go to the GC playoffs in Prague. Teams that are in the top 4 go straight into the semi-finals in Prague. Your first and second. Is that on your mind, those semi-finals, or is it about the top spots of the championship?
Okay, first of all, we're trying to win the overall league. Thinking about Prague, of course it's an advantage if you don't have to jump the first day. If you're unlucky, you're out in the semi-final. Maybe it's not really an advantage, but if you think about the final, if you think about jumping 2 rounds in the final, it's definitely an advantage to not jump the first day.
But what's your opinion on those semi-finals, or the buy-in straight into the second round there?
Well, we got straight into the second round last year, and we just missed the cut in the semi-final, so we didn't make it to the final. And a team that went in 10th place into the playoffs, which was Madrid in Motion, they finished up winning. So I think the final, the playoffs, has a completely new concept.
All right, let's have another look at that graphic, because that shows the current standing with 4 teams: Miami Celtics, Shanghai Swans, London Knights and Saint-Tropez Pirates. As it would stand now, those would go straight into the semi-finals. Below sit Monaco Aces and Madrid in Motion in 5th and 6th, and a little bit further down, Berlin Eagles, the winners of Chantilly, and then Scandinavian Vikings, who won on their turn back at the Côte d'Azur in Monaco. Looking at those teams and looking at the fact that you're in a quite a safe position, to be fair, which of those teams are still real potential contenders to get into that semi-final straight away?
I would think there's a good chance that the Berlin Eagles can raise their game. Marlin Barriard's horse is very consistent. Emil Herlundbeck's horse is consistent. Ludger and Christian Kuckuck won in Chantilly. I think there's a good chance they're not so far behind. They may be 7th, but the points are very close.
Daniel, your thought on those semi-finals? Who could go in? Who could drop out?
It's a very difficult question, to be honest. like Helena said, of course, Berlin Eagles here at home are motivated. They have a good chance. They were in good form in the last couple of weeks. But still, if even one of our teammates, only one has a mistake, could fall off, something like that. The team finished last, for example. We could also still drop out of the semi-final. So I concentrate on the Shanghai Swans and we try to have a few good results.